Fear stops us from achieving our true greatness. Are you a professional woman who is feeling stuck, unmotivated, or burned out? Are you worried about your wellness? Are you letting fear stop you from crushing your goals? If you answered yes to any or all of these, then this is the podcast for you. Dr. Charmaine Gregory, night shift emergency physician, burnout thriver, and wellness champion, along with everyday heroes just like you, will explore how to face fear in our lives and emerge victoriously.
Hey, thanks for checking out this episode. Be sure to click the subscribe button and the notification bell so that you get notified when the next video comes out. It only takes 2 seconds to make 2 clicks. So let's do it. Let's get back to the video. Hello. This is Dr. G, and welcome back to Fearless Freedom with Dr. G podcast. I am so excited because this is the second podcast that I am recording from our new home in Guam. And so the day that I'm recording this is actually Friday, the 5th of March. And for us, it is 3:47 p.m. Most people on the East Coast, it is the middle of the night. So probably like around after midnight or so. And I literally have so much to share, and I'm so excited. I realized that I did the big reveal last time in episode 114, and I gave a little bit of background information about the move itself and how it has impacted us. And I would like to share some more stories today and just kind of give you even more of an update. So this is all about facing fear. The entire thing is about facing fear because it is not an act full of fear to actually pick up yourself and move 7,000 miles away, sell pretty much everything, and start afresh in a brand new place. New job, new community, new everything, and to be able to do that with your family. And so I feel incredibly grateful, incredibly blessed, and I am just wanting to share my story because I feel like there may be something that you are currently facing in your life right now that you are potentially afraid to embark on or even to face. And I hope that our story will encourage you to go ahead and make it happen because this is your time. This is absolutely your time. So kind of a little bit of a recap. So last time I talked about all of the things, basically leading up to the actual transition. And I talked about what happened with the cars and my whole scenario with that and how I was so clueless about the fact that you actually have to own cars outright in order to be able to ship them abroad. Yeah, never did it, didn't know. So I learned quite quickly how that would work. And then I also talked about how I utilized a service called Vroom, which I have no affiliation with. And it worked really well for us to be able to sell 3 cars that way in a touchless manner. So very excited about that. And then I talked about how we basically sold our home that we spent the last 9 years living in, and we transferred that positive energy from the home to the new family. So basically, by the time this episode comes out, we would have closed on that home and the new family would have actually been able to hopefully move in to the home. So that is exciting. Super excited about that. Then I also gave a huge shout out to my amazing realtor here in Guam, Claire Delgado, because man, Claire really helped us to make this transition smoothly. She tolerated us like pinging her at all kinds of crazy hours and basically, stalking the real estate pages and having her go to different places and doing video tours. And then finally, getting us into this home. So we are so excited about that because you can see if you're looking at the video of this, you can see I am in my office in our new home. And there is a lot of an echo because basically our belongings won't arrive for quite some time. My understanding is that they literally just on the 3rd of March from the United States mainland. And so it takes probably a couple of weeks at best with no issues on the waters. And so we're looking at the 16th for our arrival of the materials, but it could be another 2 to 6 weeks that it could be tied up in customs and that we won't have it. So I basically have decided that we're gonna have an empty, echoey house for at least a month. And so I've resolved that it's probably going to be April or late April, early May before we actually get our stuff and be able to unpack and really, make the home a home. So, I mean, it's already a home because obviously we have each other and it's been amazing. And we really realized that we really don't need that much stuff in order to be happy, which is a great life lesson, by the way. And I kind of wish I knew that, several thousands of dollars later. But I wanted to talk to us a little bit about, that whole thing with packing and finding a mover and all that. So I talked to several people who had either moved abroad or, had some kind of affiliation with that type of activity. And many of them basically just said, you really don't need to bring much. You can actually weigh your options. You can look at it as what is the cost going to be to replace the items in a destination versus shipping it. And so that was one way to look at it. The other way to look at it is, are you really going to use everything that you're going to bring? Okay, right? This is a great question. And I told you before that we had this great purge. We literally had purge that consisted of a lot of giving away of items, furniture, clothing, you name it, we gave it away. And we also had a purge where we had 1-800-JUNK come in and we filled up 3 of their trucks. So I kind of felt like we were down to, the bare minimum, but you can always, and let me just say this one more time, you can always declutter more. You can always pare down more. And that is so true. So anyway, so we were able to fit the 3 households. So we had my mother-in-law's household. She pared down, gave away, all the things, and then pared her items down. And my mom pared her household down as well. And then we also pared our household down. So we were now faced with the task of essentially shipping 3 households worth of items to Guam. And I did not realize this, but it is expensive to ship items to Guam. If you're military, it's a little bit different because they have some concessions available for that particular purpose. But as a non-military individual shipping to Guam, I've quickly found out how incredibly expensive it is. And it is all because of something called the Jones Act. And again, with this move, I am learning all about history and all these things. And so very grateful for the education. So apparently, with the Jones Act, you literally have to have a vessel registered in the United States if you're going to go from a U.S. port to a U.S. port. So what happens when you're coming to Guam? You would either be coming from California to Guam, right? So U.S. port to U.S. port. So you can't really have a vessel, which this makes sense to me, a vessel leaving from California and going to Korea, for example, and Guam is on the way. So drop the stuff off in Guam, right? Makes sense. Seems like pretty efficient and economical. No, Jones Act does not allow that. So basically, you have a limited amount of vessels that are able to comply with this. And so it becomes more expensive to ship from the mainland to Guam. Who knew? So now the Jones Act causes things to be inflated as far as cost of shipping. And then a lot of stuff, because I mentioned that we were consolidating 3 households. So we have quite a bit of stuff, even with the paring down and the purging, we still had quite a bit. So we started shopping around for moving companies. So our due diligence, we literally looked at everybody and we compared them apples to apples as best we could. We looked at what it was going to cost to, do the shipment. We also, at the time, were looking at shipping 2 cars. And I told you what happened with that. We ultimately decided to sell the cars because it would have cost us more to finish the payments on the cars and to pay the $6,500 to ship them, plus whatever money you'd have to pay when they arrive in regard to fees, customs, et cetera, et cetera. So ultimately, we decided not to ship the cars. We sold them and moved on there. Now, the household items, we basically realized that, essentially I thought that it was a situation where if you're shipping by air, then it would be weight based, right? So based on your poundage. And if you're shipping by sea, it would be volume based, right? So cubic feet or cubic feet. Yeah, cubic feet. And so I was clearly mistaken because really, ultimately, it came down to the weight. We finally picked a mover. Like I said, it was very, it was like, my husband is very, very calculated. And so he put a spreadsheet together and he basically looked at all of them, look at what they offered, look at, what it would entail logistically, et cetera. And so we decided on one particular mover. So we thought that, okay, awesome. This is great. We did all this back in December and mind you, we made a decision to move in October. We kind of got things rolling, doing our research, et cetera, for November. And then we made a decision in December with the thought that we could get the shipment off before we left so that by the time we arrived in February, we would have our belongings. Ha! Let me just tell you, no, that's not how it went. So they came and picked up the shipment. They packed our entire house. We had everything in one location. They packed our entire house, put it in a trailer, and then it was gone. Okay. So we were like, yay, another item ticked off the to-do list for our Big Adventure 2021. Okay. So we're thinking everything's good. So then they tell us that, oh, by the way, we don't have a container. And so the container is that metal box, that ginormous metal box that they actually ship items on the ship in. And so, they basically told us that we would probably need a 40-foot high container, which we kind of knew. And then ultimately, when they weighed our items, it turned out that we had more than what could fit in one of those. And we actually had to get part of a 20-foot container as well. Okay, no surprise. I kind of, when they're packing everything up, I was like, oh my God, we still have a lot of stuff. But so yeah, so they took it and then they were telling us, oh, there's no container. So we're like, okay, so if there was no container, why did you come pick it up? Like, I don't know. These are the things that I question. But anyway, so they came, picked it up beginning of January. There was some contention about the charges because they sprung like a 5-figure charge on us. 5 figures? 2, 3, 4, 5. Yep, 5-figure charge on us that they did not account for in the estimate. So of course we're like, what the Hades is going on here? What are you talking about? And so we had to deal with that. And that was a back and forth because the person that was having the person that was a negotiator, or the person that was doing the accounting or whatever, ended up having COVID and was out for a couple of weeks. So that delayed things more. So therefore, our belongings are kind of like sitting in a warehouse somewhere, and literally the negotiations resumed again when this individual was actually better. Thank God they're better, because I mean, I would hate for them to have a bad outcome from this particular illness, because it can do that. Then we find out that that 5-figure addition going to stay. So we're like, okay, well, I guess we have no choice, right? Because you already have our stuff. What are we going to do? Say, no, we want it back? No, I don't think so. So we were a captive audience, as you can tell. And ultimately, we ended up having to pay that ridiculous sum to get our belongings shipped to Guam. And so we got an email after we arrived here. We got an email saying that our belongings were going to be leaving the US shores on the 3rd of March, which was recently, right? And also that it was scheduled to arrive. There could be some kind of delay in customs on the wharf for a good like 2 to 6 weeks. So I was like, just like I said, it's going to be like April or May. I'm like, oh, well, what are you going to do? You just have to roll with the punches. So, what do we do to adjust to that? Like I said, it was a huge lesson. So not only was preparing for the actual packing and, sending off of the materials, that was a learning experience because that just really taught us about the fact that we really don't need a lot. Okay. We really don't need a lot. And, it's just funny how we accumulate things and we have, sentimental attachments to things. And really, it's like kind of like, well, all we really need is each other. Right. And I mean, it sounds cliche, but it's really true. Like we've had so much fun together as a family. And we have had growing pains as a family, obviously, because we're like in a space together that we weren't used to being, a smaller space. But we got to know each other. We have memories, we have experiences. The children are happy. I feel like this move was just amazing, right? I mean, and people would be like, well, really? It's amazing. You're sitting at a desk with a like lawn chair, because I'm sitting on a lawn chair because that was what we could find at Home Depot. And you are sitting at like one of those foldable tables in an empty room that is going to be your office with an echo because there's nothing in it. And even though you put your daughter's coat on the table to try to dampen the amount of reflective sound, it's still an echo. But you know what? The kids are happy. We're happy. This is where I know we are meant to be. And so the small thing of having the belongings not arrive for several months is a small thing, because it really is going to help us to perhaps even when it arrives, determine whether we truly need most of it, right? Which is kind of interesting because we spend a lot of money to get it here, but it's all good. No, I mean, I do believe that we did pare down to quite pretty much our, the basics of what we would actually need here. So to furnish the home, et cetera, et cetera. So that was a big lesson that we learned from not having our stuff. And it's just been, I can't express how amazing it has been for the children being here, because they have been able to go outside and play, run around. They're really, they could do it in Michigan, but it's like limited, and they'd have to put on a whole bunch of snow gear in order to go outside, and it's cold out, et cetera, et cetera. So there's so many things. There were obstacles really in the way of them doing that. And the thing that I used to always joke about with our home in Michigan is that the days when you see neighbors are usually when it snows and everybody's out making a snowman, or, snowball fights or whatever, or in the summertime when, or in the late spring when it actually is warm enough for everybody to be out, and you see your neighbors and you're like, oh my God, like you're a foot taller, or you had another baby, it's like so crazy. But when you live in a place where it's warm all the time, you see everybody all the time. So, which is really, really nice. We like that change. We were looking for that kind of community. And so, we're finding it, and it has definitely been a blessing. So definitely grateful for that. So, this is kind of like, as I was saying before, when people ask me like, how could you possibly go somewhere, move someplace 7,000 miles away, plus, from where you currently live? You've never been there. You've never seen it, except for YouTube videos and people's stories. You've heard about it. How can you just pick up your family and move there? I don't know. I just felt like it was the right thing to do. That's really the deal. I felt like it was the right thing to do. I felt like everything was aligning for this move, and the energy toward this move was very positive. And so, and even along the way, as we had hiccups, like with the moving company, and we've had other hiccups, it has just proven to be a good choice. And I don't know what your choices are right now, what you're facing. Maybe there's something that you are hesitant, or you are looking to start a business. I mean, I don't know what your thing is, but I truly, truly, truly believe that you have to live a life with no regrets. So if there's something that you've always wanted to do, you should totally go for it this year. We are all not promised tomorrow. We also learned there's always going to be tomorrow, theoretically, but you're not promised it. Okay. So, we learned that from 2020, that so many times we think we have more time, and it turns out that we don't. And I've seen that firsthand, and I really don't want that for you. So I'm encouraging you, basically choose no regret. Just choose no regret. Look at your options and just go for it, because you can literally be and I tell the residents this. So like when I was doing faculty, I tell the residents this all the time. I'm like, look, you could be 46 and have done it, or you could be 46 and be like, man, I wish I could do it, but man, I don't think I could still do it. I don't think I have enough years in me. So why have that? Why have regret? It's just not worth it. And so I encourage you to go ahead, go for it. So so that's the story I want to share with you today. The one last thing that I will say is that I did so at the time of this recording, I have completed my first shift at my new job, and I'm a night doc still. So I know I've been getting a lot of questions about, are you still doing emergency medicine? Are you still in medicine? Yes, I am still in medicine. I am still doing emergency medicine. I still love to serve the community in that way. And I had my first night shift last night at my new job, because I'm going to be a night doc here as well. And I had a blast. And I am so grateful for that. I was a little bit nervous, I have to say, before going in, because I was like, man, these are 12-hour shifts. I'm used to 8.5. How am I going to have the stamina to finish, et cetera, et cetera. But of course, I had my energize in. I basically chose my mood of energize yesterday, and I had that in. So that helped me a ton during the shift. And so, it was just kind of like, okay, but no, it was like literally I walked through the door. I saw my team, I got to know my team, and, it was, the patients are awesome. And I just felt like, okay, this was the right choice. This is where I was meant to be. And so, so kind of full circle, the Big Adventure 2021, I had been focusing so much on making sure that my family was happy, making sure they were comfortable, making sure the moms were good. And I totally was not even focused on, my career here. Obviously I'm still going to continue podcasting. I'm still continuing with the media company. I'm still continuing with my tech company and all those ventures. But it was just like, okay, wait, this is my main gig, right? This is the thing that I, spent all that time training for. So I am just so grateful, so happy. And I just want to encourage you. I really do. I really hope that me sharing my story is going to encourage you to do that thing, whatever that thing is. I hope that you're going to just do that thing this year, and you're going to have no regrets, and you're going to be able to share your big adventure 2021 and look back and just say like, wow, I did that thing. So that's what I'm wishing for you. So, all right. I will be doing more of these where I'm talking about Guam, and I'm going to get back to doing some interview style ones here coming up. I'm not sure. I have to kind of chat about it with my team, but but I love talking with you. I love doing solos because I feel like it's a great time for us to just kind of jive and just talk to each other. So, so this is Dr. G, and I hope that you will be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Fearless Freedom with Dr. G. Again, I'm Dr. G. And if you like this episode, be sure to subscribe so that you can get notified of when the next episode is going to be. And also, I'll catch you next time. Have a great one. Be strong, be brave, and unleash your greatness.